I had to include that. Oh my gosh, that guys, it's just so cringy. I lost so much hair, my nails done, my hair done, toes done.
Hello, Kyla.
I'm so fat. I have to start eating better.
Hello. Shut the fuck up. It's my turn to talk. What's poppin'? Welcome to or welcome back to my freaking YouTube channel. I'm finna get this shit off my chest and lay at the wrist. Leg up. I'm a little nervous right now because it feels like Judgment Day. I'm gonna share my testimony with you guys on just how my life has transformed over my whole lifespan. I'm gonna give you guys my life story. We're gonna be talking about some things that I've went through, some things that I've done, everything that has led me to this moment right here, from people pleasing to having a voice, standing on my word, and being true to myself. And I'm not gonna lie, I might cry. We're going to be getting very deep. Let's take a sip to that. Let's start from the beginning. In my childhood, I want to say at one point I was a little bit more outgoing than I am now. When I was in school, I used to talk a lot and I used to get in trouble for it. So eventually I just kind of shut up.
I recently came to this realization that my mom was not ready to have me, and her childhood growing up wasn't the best. My dad passed away when I was like 3 or 4 years old, so she had to do it by herself. And you know, when you're in a dark space like that and you're not ready to literally raise a child, there's a million things or a million different scenarios that can happen. And I think maybe my mom was in a dark space, and so when she raised me, I guess maybe all of that pain and hurt came out. And I feel like as children, we have this level of being close to spirit and being close to God, and so you feel these energies. And when you're raising a child that you were not ready to have, it's hard to let the light out sometimes. And so what I'm trying to say is, oftentimes the abuser, whether it be emotionally or physically, creates another abuser, and this can show up as self-abuse. Maybe there wasn't a level of vulnerability in my childhood, so I kind of pushed all of that aside to become what was outside of me.
Being raised by my mom, I was told a lot that I didn't know what I wanted. When I used to ask why, it was always because I said so. I never got an explanation. So I think at some point I just kind of shut down and I just became a people pleaser. I used to get bullied a lot in elementary, and I remember one day I was riding the bus and there was this boy on the bus that used to bully me all the time. We were driving past this like cement truck, some type of garbage truck or something like that, and the boy literally told me, he was like, "You see that truck right there? That's what your house looks like." That was like a core memory for me because it really hurt my feelings. I used to stay with my grandma and we weren't the prettiest house on the block. This boy literally used to bully me every day. It was always something. I honestly think he probably liked me because one time he tried to give me like Starburst or something, but I was like, no, I don't want that. You're literally like, you literally bully me every day. Why would I want to take anything from you? And he was like maybe in the 5th grade. I was in the 2nd or 3rd grade, but I used to get bullied every day. My mom ended up getting on the bus one day and it never happened again after that. But I went through a lot of bullying for things that I wore, my looks. I did have a couple of friends, but it was like I was always trying to fit in with people because I wanted to be accepted by someone. I wanted to feel like I had a voice and what I was saying was important to people. I kind of just lost my self-identity and cling to what I thought was best for me. So one day, I think I was in the 3rd grade, this girl moved in across the street from my grandma's house. Her name was Kenzie. That is still my dog to this day. It was so crazy because the way that we met, it was like we were meant to meet each other, and I knew we were meant to meet each other because it just happened so conveniently. I think her mom knew my mom, and as they were moving in, I think her mom came across the street and said something to my mom and was like, you know, I have a daughter, she can come over here, they can play with each other. And hanging out with Kenzie was like probably the highlight of my childhood. That literally became my sister. We used to jump on the trampoline, we used to act out movie scenes. Our friendship was filled with so much expression. I don't remember any point in our friendship where I feel like I couldn't be myself around her. I felt like I could be who I was authentically. I used to watch a lot of Disney Channel shows, Nickelodeon. I watched a lot of TV, a lot of movies. One of my favorite movie series growing up was Chucky. I was scared of Chucky, but I was obsessed with the movies. I don't know why. I used to be scared to get on the bus because I remember there was one scene where Chucky followed Andy to school, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm still a little traumatized about that. But ever since I was younger, I've always knew I wanted to be an entertainer or an actor, a singer, a dancer. And so my mom did put me in a few dance teams every now and then. I always knew I wanted to be in the spotlight. I think that comes from a place of me wanting to be heard. I just wanted to be seen, y'all. And I think from elementary school, me being bullied and not having the best uprising, I think it kind of made me shy. It made me shy away from those things. It's like I desired those things so much, but I was so shy. So when I would be in these dance groups or I would be performing, like I knew I could do so much better during the performances, but I just felt so restricted in my own body. Like I felt like I couldn't express myself the way I would have wanted to. And so I used to get told all the time, like for different competitions and stuff, Kyla, dance harder. Like you don't dance hard enough, you're not doing it hard enough. I was just afraid to express myself. I also used to get in trouble a lot as a kid. I was a very curious child, so I used to get into a lot of things. I used to jump off of dressers, headboards, hide in the refrigerator. I just used to get into a lot of stuff. So I was very curious and I used to get in trouble for that. And I believe it was because my family was scared that I would hurt myself or do something, but I just used to get in trouble a lot. And eventually I came to a point where I just did not want to let people see that they got the best of me. Whenever I get my whoopings, I would literally not cry, and then I would get punished even more for not crying. I guess it kind of like just took a toll on me and just made me kind of like shut down internally. I couldn't express myself, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm still working through that. When it was time for me to go to middle school, my friend Kenzie was moving to Texas, and I was like, dang, I don't have anyone that I can express myself with. I'm going to middle school, I don't have any friends. I had a few friends while I was in elementary school, but they were going to different schools. I just knew it was going to be hard for me to make friends. It just felt like I was going to have to start all over again. I've always stayed to myself. Any friends that I've made have had to come to me, and now I'm really going to have to fit in.
I think the phrase, when you know better, you do better, has been popping up in my head lately. Thinking about the Bible and Adam and Eve. They were feeling good, right? And then they did something that they knew was wrong, but they did it anyway. And so they felt naked. Humility, maybe vulnerability. And at first they weren't feeling like that. And so I truly believe that we are not victims. Maybe you're a victim the first time, but when you know better, you do better. And so transitioning from elementary to middle school, losing my best friend, or not even necessarily losing her, but having a part of her stripped away from me, forced me to face myself and what I had put myself through, from not standing up for myself and for, maybe all of the humility that I felt within me. In order to fill that void, I was so struck on having to find someone to comfort me. Maybe because I didn't get the comforting that I felt like I deserved when I was younger. And I want to say this too. People pleasing is not a good thing. It's not as good as we make it seem. I think we want to feel like we're doing it for the benefit of others when we're actually doing it for ourselves. We want to feel this hole inside of us, so we look for acceptance in others instead of acceptance within ourselves, within God. And ultimately it becomes worldly because we lose ourselves trying to fit into someone else's box.
So I ended up finding a group of people and started kind of hanging out with them. And I'm not gonna lie, there was a lot of drama, a lot of mess involved, and I definitely felt out of place there. With me trying to fit in with people for the sake of their status or how I felt about their status, I don't know, I feel like I kind of lost myself in that. And so going into high school, I still had some of the same friends, and I was also scared transitioning from middle school to high school on who I would fit in with, what friends I would make in high school. I was kind of just like by myself. I didn't really talk to many people. I was associates with people. I didn't have like that closeness, and I really didn't feel like I could fully express myself. So I ended up starting my YouTube channel. I believe I started in 8th grade, and then I started again my sophomore year in high school. For my YouTube channel, I just felt like I could express myself more because these are literally random people. And I remember at some point I was getting like passively bullied for it, and literally the friends that I had would laugh in my face and be funny about it whenever they would watch my videos, and I would laugh with them, me being the people pleaser that I am. But it low-key bruised something in me, and it just kind of made me self-cautious when it came to posting videos. I would delete some of my videos because they were laughing at me. I would take them down, and I couldn't really express myself. I remember at one point I was hanging out with one of my cousins for a while. Like, I would hang out with this girl so much. She would come over my house all the time. We had just become so close, but this cousin of mine was in a lot of drama, and she used to get on live and talk about people, and I'm kind of like to myself, I stay out of the drama. I don't care who you are or what you got going on, but I'm gonna stay out of the drama. We were really close, so I would literally shower, she would be in the bathroom with me, we saw each other naked. And I think one time she ended up taking a picture of me while I was in the shower. I didn't say anything, and instead I just started taking pictures of her. I knew the type of person that she was, and whenever it came down to getting into it with people, she was the type of person to post things, it would get that deep. So I was like, I'm gonna make sure I got a picture of you too. I think I only had like one picture of her, but I'm gonna make sure I got a picture of you just in case you want to think you're gonna pop out with anything, just to have like some insurance over her. Eventually my mom ended up seeing the picture, and I'm pretty sure they thought like a whole different thing. They probably thought it was way more than what it was, but honestly it was me trying to get my insurance because she had pictures of me. And then at the time I was also texting this guy. I believe he probably mentioned something to me that was just like out of pocket, and I didn't have respect for myself at the time, so I just let him say whatever it was, and my mom got mad over it, and that was the last whooping I have ever got. It wasn't even a whooping, like my mom was literally fighting me, and I've never hit my mom because I was always told like if you hit your mom you lose days of your life. So I never put my hands on my mom. It put such an imprint on me that after that I kind of like had resentment for my mom. Even though her feelings were valid, I honestly don't think that was the way to go about it. The way that she was just hitting me, like she was hitting me in my face, I think I was so traumatized by that. Like I literally hated her, and to this day I still hold resentment for her that I'm trying to work through.
I believe when you don't know yourself, you are prone to being influenced by other people. You're easily persuaded, and I didn't have the voice to say, don't do this to me, don't take this picture of me, this isn't right. And instead I just, people please, because I thought maybe like if I said that was not cool, I would be uncool. Even with the guy like talking to me crazy, I thought maybe if I stood up for myself, that would be uncool. Like I said, my mom's feelings were valid, but I honestly feel like maybe I needed some guidance and some loving into the right place. And I think I hold this resentment that I'm really trying to work through, because we're not perfect. Nobody is perfect. Everybody has their scars. But I think I held this resentment because of the lack of love. After that whole situation, me and my mom didn't talk for months. Like, it was months. I literally lived with her. I went to school every day. We didn't talk for months. And I think I got the lesson, but I didn't get the love that came with the lesson.
When I was younger, anytime that I got in trouble, I would hear about it for months. She would literally be on the phone with her friends talking about it, and I'm learning about the power of the tongue. When you talk about something so much, it like really ingrains in your brain. I ended up getting a boyfriend my junior year in high school. We're gonna call him Ronnie. He used to tell me all the time, "You're so awkward. Like, why are you so awkward? Why are you being awkward?" And I think it was because I just couldn't express myself. I didn't feel comfortable expressing myself because I had suppressed so many things within me that I just didn't feel comfortable enough to be myself. And I felt like even if I tried to be myself, people would shame me for it, or I don't know, think I'm weird. Even though a lot of people had the same expressions or did the same things that I might have wanted to do, I just didn't feel like I could express myself. So I just never really did. That relationship was crazy. We were like on and off a lot, and I used to read a lot of romance books, so I think I kind of adhered to the toxic relationships, like breaking up and then making up. Being in a healthy relationship was too boring for me, I guess. Me being in this relationship with Ronnie kind of took away from my YouTube channel, because anytime I would get in a relationship, I would not post. Like, I would be so consumed in that relationship and growing that relationship that I would forget who I was and what I wanted to do in life. And so I kind of just nurtured the relationships that I was in and just stopped focusing on myself as a whole. Like, I completely consumed myself in other people. I ended up going to college and I wanted another boyfriend. I wanted to be with someone because being with someone felt like I was being cared about and I was being cared for. And I was getting that male attention that I felt like I needed. So I went to college and ended up meeting this guy, and he was like the love of my life. Like, I literally saw myself having a future with him, and he was just so relatable. And this is why I think also you attract who you are. We talked about so many things. We had so many deep conversations. And he was raised up in a predominantly white area, so he had never had a girlfriend before me, but he had talked to a lot of white girls, and he felt like a part of him had to fit in with those people. It was literally like a thing with us. Like, when he got around white people, he would, you know, use his, you know, white voice or use his white mannerisms, or he just act more like them to fit in. And I could definitely understand that too, because even with my YouTube channel, there was a point where I was acting like the YouTubers that I watched instead of creating content from my authenticity. And so I could relate to him a lot within that. It felt like whenever I got in a relationship, it was just like I could forget about all of my traumas. I could forget about everything that was going on with me. So I just let go of everything involving me, and I would just always consume myself in these relationships. Even when I went into college, I wanted to go to college because everyone else was going to college. And I'm so grateful to have had that experience. Like, college was amazing. I made so many great memories in college, but I remember there was one point we had gotten to our third quarter, and I was just like, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm literally here for no reason. The parties have stopped. The fun has stopped. And me and my boyfriend at the time had broken up, so I was just sitting with myself. During that time, I had just realized that college was not for me. I didn't like college. I didn't like school, and I knew that the whole time going in. I just wanted to fit in, and I didn't want to be by myself. I didn't want to be alone, so I went to college. My major at the time was graphic design. You don't need college for graphic design. It's nice to have on your record, but I didn't need to go to school for that. So I just stopped going to class, and I had an apartment with 3 other roommates. I just stayed in that apartment and started working on my YouTube channel. I was like, my YouTube channel is what I really want to focus on. So I stopped doing everything else and put all of my focus and energy into that.
Now, this is where it gets a little tricky. I think during this time, I had just got out of this relationship. I had a point to prove. I had a point to prove to someone. I started going up this hill, but it wasn't necessarily for myself. It was because I wanted to shit on the people who doubted me. I wanted to shit on the people who left me alone to deal with my problems by myself. I basically victimized myself and said, you know what? I'm going to get my stuff together, and prove to these people why I'm important and why I can have anything in the world. I'll tell you this also, that doesn't come from a place of love. Doing something out of love is for the good of all. It's not to shit on anyone and say, you know, I want you to feel me. I want you to feel my pain, because that's like transferring your dark energy onto them, and that's not like a good thing. It doesn't give you a good feeling, maybe temporarily, but eventually the cookies start to crumble.
I had started feeling so much better about life during that time because I was doing what made me happy. So I was vlogging like my last moments in college or whatever, and it was a great time. I ended up coming back home and I started doing nails. I kind of started going up this hill of finding myself. I started working out a lot more. I was doing my YouTube videos. I just felt so good about my life, and I could genuinely feel that I was going in the right direction until I started craving intimacy again. I wanted to be in another relationship because I was like alone, doing my own thing, focused on myself, and I just wanted to find a connection with someone again. I ended up jumping into a relationship with this other guy. Going into that relationship, honestly, my first intentions were not even to get into a relationship. I honestly just wanted the intimacy, and I felt like for a while that was the only time that I just felt such a strong level of passion with guys, when I was intimate with them. Intimacy can be in many different ways, but we were physically intimate with each other. I just ended up jumping in a relationship because I wanted to feel that closeness. Over time, I just realized that he wasn't what I wanted out of a guy. One of the qualities that I want out of a man is to feel protected and just to feel, I don't know, I love masculine energy. I love a masculine man. He would ask me to buy things for him, and it was like I was always nagging him because there was just these qualities that he didn't have that I really wanted, and it felt like I was his mom. And of course, when you're in relationships, you have to let your partner know what you want. It's like I just had to tell him all the time what he's doing and what he's not doing. And I remember there was this one situation where he was introducing me to one of his girls, sisters, whatever, and she got on the phone and she literally just looked at me and didn't say anything. I was like, hey, and she didn't say anything, and he didn't say anything, and it made me so mad. And it's just like these little things with him just kept adding up. It just made me unattracted to him. At some point, I just ended up telling him, look, honestly, I feel like I need to be by myself. I need to work on myself. And those were my intentions, just to be by myself. I didn't want to be in a relationship anymore. And I knew the headspace that I was in, I could probably end up hurting him, or I could see myself doing something that really would have put like a lot of guilt and shame on myself. So I was like, I'm gonna have to break up with you because, you know, I'm not in the right headspace right now, and I need some time to myself because I'm having like all of these thoughts, and you know, I really didn't want to hurt him. So I was just like, you know, I think we should break up. We broke up, and then literally like a little bit later, probably a couple of days later, I ended up talking to this other guy, and it was literally like a hookup moment. Like we literally hooked up. A couple of months before I even hooked up with this guy, I had this dream. It's so crazy that I had this dream. It's literally so crazy. I had this dream that I slept with a demon, and it was so scary to me because the dream felt so real, and the demon was somebody so, if he felt so familiar. I guess it was this spirit, but he had felt so familiar to me. When I woke up, I just felt so guilty because during that dream, the things that I did with that spirit had felt good to me. Like it felt good to me, and it was so scary because that was so vivid. I was just so spooked out. And so a little bit later, I ended up hooking up with this guy, and it felt exactly the same way that the dream felt, but I don't think I took that into account until after the relationship I had with that guy. I ended up being in a relationship with him after a while, and that was the most toxic relationship I have ever been in. There was a lot of gaslighting. He was a true bred narcissist, like literally a true bred narcissist. And I remember one time, the first big fight we ever had, he ended up cheating on me a couple of weeks before, and I took him back. I remember there was this one time where I kind of wanted to get back at him. So he was on my laptop doing something for his t-shirt brand or whatever. I was on my phone, but I know that my phone is connected to my laptop. And I had this guy friend that he used to ask me out on dates and stuff. I know he liked me. I wanted to use that as an opportunity to get back at him. I wanted him to go through our messages. It honestly wasn't too big of a deal for us to fight over, but I wanted to bruise his spirit a little bit because I think the guy had asked me on a date like months ago, and I hadn't talked to him in a while since I had gotten in that relationship. So I was just like, I'm gonna text him because I know he gonna text me back, but I want you to see the message pop up on the screen because I wanted his heart to jump a little bit. We got into this huge fight. He broke my iPad, I broke his phone, and we just ended up being toxic ever since. We would break up, get back together, break up, get back together, fight. It had came to this point where the last big fight we ever had, he just went like crazy. I was breaking up with him because I caught him cheating on me, and he did not take that well at all. So he just started slamming stuff down. I tried to run out the house. He grabbed me and pulled me back. At one point he pulled like a hammer up to me like he was gonna hit me with the hammer, and so I just lied and told him that I was pregnant. I was like, I'm pregnant. I had to play the role well because I had to get him to calm down because he was just so manic. Even throughout our relationship, when he would get into his manic mood swings, I could see it in his eyes. His eyes would just get so dark, and I just knew like his spirit was off. Like the mask that he was wearing had fell off, and in that moment I was just like, I have to say something because this could end worse than I could ever imagine. So I said that, and then he kind of calmed down and he was like, why didn't you tell me? If you would have told me, I would have never did all of that. Which, like, what? So I went to the bathroom and I was just praying. I was just like praying to God. I was like, God, please get me through this. Please protect me through this. Don't let anything happen to me. And after that, after I said that prayer, y'all, I was fine. This dude, he literally started acting like I just beat the shit out of him. He was on the floor coughing, and he was just like crawling on the floor, acting like he couldn't breathe. And I was like, what's wrong with you? And he was just like, I can't breathe. Like, I got asthma. I can't breathe. You've never had asthma before, sir. So what do you mean? Like, I started laughing, y'all. He didn't see me laughing, but I was just laughing because I was like, are you seriously? Like, you're trying to play victim. Like, you're trying to get this victim role because you feel so stupid for what you just did. I was acting like I was pregnant. He was acting like he was sick. He had took my phone and my laptop, any device I could use to call anyone, and I just was trying to gain his trust back. I was trying to calm him down. I was telling him lay down in the bed, and then at one point I was like, if you keep doing that, I'm gonna call the ambulance. And he did not want me to call anybody. I didn't even have my phone. But I was like, do you need me to call somebody? Like, you on the floor acting a fool, do you need me to call somebody? After I said that, he straightened up. Like, he straightened up. He stopped doing all of that. And that's how I knew he was just putting on a show. He literally went to the bathroom to smoke. And then I got him to trust me enough to give me my phone back. And so I texted my friends on Snapchat what was happening, and they ended up calling my mom. I wasn't talking to her at the time because she was upset that I kept going back to him. So she was the last person I wanted to call. So I didn't call her. I just texted my friends on Snapchat so he wouldn't be able to see the messages. And I was just telling them what was going on. They ended up calling my mom and telling her about it. I heard a knock on my door a little while later, and it was the police. Like, they had came to get him, and I was just like so scared. I was like, I didn't know if he would have like just reacted off of that or tried to do something to me. So I went outside and I was telling them like, he's in the bathroom. I was kind of frantic about it because I didn't know what would happen. When he came over to my house to do all of that day, he literally climbed my balcony. I stay on the 3rd floor. He climbed my balcony and kicked my door down. Y'all, it was so much, and I'm so grateful I'm still here to tell the story, but it was so much.
My ex was a reflection of me in so many ways that I wasn't ready to accept. And now I understand that when you're rooted in the spirit of something negative, for my sake, it was revenge. I wanted to go up this hill to shit on everybody, and then God took it all away. And destruction came, and he had to destroy me. He had to break me down so that I can call out to him. I had to say that prayer. You know, the prayer, y'all know the prayer I'm talking about. God, I want this next season in my life to be amazing. I want it to be great. I want it to be fulfilling. I want to, live in your will, God. And so if there's anyone blocking me from that, anyone else blocking me from that, please remove them, reveal them to me, let me see them, and give me the strength to remove myself so that you can start a new foundation for me. I was already broke down. I needed to start the whole foundation over and build myself back up.
I was depressed after that, and I think the following year I had made the video trying to get out of depression. I was just in a really dark space at that time. My friends were there for me in that moment. Like, they ended up showing up. My friend from college had called her dad to show up, and then my other two friends, they were there for me. Like, they were right there when it all happened, and I was so grateful for that. But a couple weeks, maybe a month later, one of my friends, we're gonna call her Candy, she literally called me. I think she was trying to trauma bond with me because she was like, I just found out that the guy that I was talking to, like the toxic guy, what should I name him? I'm gonna name him Lion. She was like, I just found out that Lion just slept with this girl, and it was the same girl that Candy, her dude or situationship that she was dealing with, had ended up sleeping with.
I'm just gonna add and clarify this too. This same girl that she was telling me about, Candy was still hanging out with. Like, I guess she was her sister's friend, but like, if you slept with my man, I'm not finna be up in your face smiling and stuff. So me being the Virgo that I am, I peeped that and I took note of that, and I'm like, that's some fake shit.
It kind of just felt like a slap in my face because I felt like she was trying to trauma bond with me. Like, she was trying to hurt me. I didn't feel that way at the moment. I feel like that now. I don't know, like, out of all things, you could have called and checked up on me to see how I was doing. None of my friends actually checked on me to see how I was doing. The one time that she did call me was to tell me that my ex had slept with, she found out he slept with someone else. Honestly, I felt like she was trying to hurt my feelings on purpose because throughout our relationship, I think I picked up on a lot of things with her. I felt like she kind of envied me for a lot of things, and I say this because she would always compare herself to me in these little ways. One time she was just saying how I was always able to get in a relationship with guys, but she just felt like she could never make it to that relationship stage with someone. And it's like anytime I would try to give her advice about it, she would kind of just like push it off. And I think maybe she just wanted to be heard. And so in that moment when she was telling me like my ex had done that, it hurt my feelings. A couple months later, I fell back into the same thing that put me in that depressive state, and I ended up talking to my ex again. During the time, I had a restraining order on him and everything. Like, literally, there was supposed to be a no contact order. He wasn't supposed to talk to me or anything, but he ended up texting me from a text now app, and my dumb gullible self fell for it. It's like the person that hurts you tries to come and, save the day, and that's what he was doing. I fell into it because he was like the only person that really checked up on me or tried to see how I felt.
I'm just gonna pop in and take accountability. That was indeed some fake shit, and I feel like it was kind of the same situation. I wanted to trauma bond, and so I took my ex back, but when you know better, you do better.
I just fell back into it and I started talking to him. I didn't tell anybody. My mom to this day does not know about the situation, but I started being on and off with him again. And we weren't in a relationship at that time. I was just going back for the physical intimacy. And I was so depressed that the intimacy was the only time I could feel any strong emotion. Like, it just felt like your typical, dark romance novel or book that you would read. So at some point during the summertime, I just got this feeling that, even with my friends, like, I just didn't feel a connection with them anymore. And I think it was more so of like a realization on just our friendship as a whole. There's literally 4 of us. It was Candy, Tony, and we're gonna call the other girl, I'm gonna call her April. Those were my 3 friends throughout high school and then up until a couple months ago. Candy was actually like an add-on to the group. I had known April and Tony since middle school. Those were my friends since middle school. I ended up like just just having a realization about certain things, and I just wanted to confront and, you know, share my piece with everyone and tell them how I was feeling. So during the summertime is the time where most of the time, like, me and my friends, we would hang out together, and we had made like a whole bucket list of things that we wanted to do together for the summer because they're in college, so I don't get to see them. I was just so alone and I felt so out of the loop at the time. So I was like, yes, the summertime is coming up. I get to hang out with my friends. I get to talk to my friends, you know, everything's gonna be all good. And so I'm actually gonna look up some of the messages because I think I ended up just telling them, I just was like, you know what, I just want to get this shit off my chest and let you guys know how I'm feeling. This was the breaking point. We were supposed to hang out and they were gonna come over my house and have a pool day, and April was like saying that her feet weren't done to go swimming, and she said, if y'all go, I'll just sit by the pool, I guess. Tony was like, what's your feet got to do with swimming? April, she was just acting like she didn't want to go or whatever, and that was one of the things on our bucket list. She was acting like she didn't want to go, and we were talking about doing it like a couple of weeks before that, but she was just being like down about it or whatever. So she was like, you know what, like, I don't even want to go, like, y'all do without me, because I guess she just didn't want to go. Tony, he just wasn't really texting anymore, and then we ended up looking on his story and we saw that he went to the pool with his other friends. And I mean, it's fine, it's cool, but we're actively texting in the group chat, making plans to go to the pool together, and for you to go to the pool with a whole nother group of people after we're like making plans in the group chat, it was kind of like a slap in the face or whatever. So me and Candy were talking about it. April and Tony would always post on their stories like them hanging out and stuff, and they would always hang out together, but we're like a friend group, so they would always hang out together and there would always be an excuse. One time it was, oh, we just ran into each other at the same place. It had just got to a point where there was always an excuse on why they would hang out and not invite us, and we just was like, okay, like, are y'all just purposely leaving us out? During the summertime, I don't hang out with anyone, so I'm just expecting us to hang out together. And I get it, they have other friend groups, they do other things, like, it might not be that big of a deal in other people's eyes, but it was just like, we're trying to find ways that we can hang out with each other, and y'all are hanging out and y'all aren't inviting us, and every time we bring it up, it's like always an excuse. I ended up writing this long paragraph just explaining everything that was going on, and me and Candy had a conversation prior to this whole paragraph that I wrote. We were basically saying, you know, it's kind of weird that they're hanging out without us and they're not inviting us anywhere and they're kind of just leaving us out. So at this point we both felt like maybe we should fall back, and I have these messages, but something in my heart was telling me to express how I felt. I basically went in the group chat and I told everybody how I felt, including Candy. For Candy, I just told her, like, you have this negative energy, and it's like whenever you're going through something, I get it, it's like you just carry this negative energy. And Candy has a smart mouth. She's always saying something slick. She always has like little smart comments that she says every now and then, and I don't think it's ever been that big to where you could just, you know, clock her on it, but it's like all of these little things have added up, and now I'm starting to look at you funny. Even from the way that she just called me to tell me that my ex was doing something with somebody else, it felt like in that moment she was trying to hurt me. There's like a lot of instances where she's just comparing herself to me, so I kind of just got the sense that, I don't know, it kind of like felt at some point like, are you in competition with me? Like, are you trying to compete with me or something? If I could stop what I was doing and be a content creator like you, I would, but I don't think I'm I'm not as creative as you. And I've always been the type of person to be like, you know, go for your dreams, do what you want to do what you're passionate about. Even when it came down to my dog, when she came over here, she would be like, you know, your dog is so sweet, like she just sits down and she doesn't do anything. My dog is so bad, he's always getting into stuff. Those little things that most people don't really, you know, see a problem with, they add up, especially in the way that people act towards you. And with her, it's like there was always a dude. I remember there was this time where I was venting to April and trying to get her advice and trying to see if basically she was experiencing the same thing with Candy as I was experiencing, like the smart remarks and all of that, and I was just like asking for her advice or whatever. And then I was also mentioning like we don't really hang out as much anymore, and granted they have their own friends, like everybody else has their own friends. These are the only friends that I have. I was venting to her and I was saying like she told me that like she was gonna invite me to like the things that she was doing, but she hasn't really been inviting me anywhere and I just don't know what to do. And so I was venting to April about that, and she was like, you know what, girl, just just come down here. Her college was having some sort of event. I forgot what it's called, but her college was having an event, and she was like, how about you come down here with us, and you know, we can tailgate and hang out or whatever. You could just come down here and don't tell her about it. And I was like, you know, we had just had this whole conversation about how we don't invite each other places. I don't be wanting to leave people out. Like, I don't want to leave anyone out, or I don't want to feel like I'm being fake or being petty towards people, or I just don't like to do that. So I was like, I'm gonna still call her anyway to see if she can come, and if she can't, then that's whatever. Because April told me if you want to invite her, you can, but since she hasn't been calling you or telling you about anything, you know, you could just come down here. We literally just had this whole discussion about how we be leaving each other out. And so I called her, she didn't answer the phone, and so I was like, you know what, that's probably the sign right there. I'm gonna go out of town with April by myself, and you know, we gonna have us a time or whatever. And so a couple of days later, she ended up calling me back, and she was just like, you know, what you doing this weekend? And I was telling her that I'm gonna go out with April or whatever, and I was like, I called you, but you didn't answer your phone. She was just like, yeah, she wanted to go or whatever. And so we ended up going together. While we were out there, she was texting this guy. She was trying to meet up with this guy that lived out there. We ended up going to this party, and the whole time this girl was just like acting irritated, acting like she didn't want to be there because she wanted to see the guy. Like, she had made plans to see the guy that was out there, and I think she wanted to see him because there was this other girl out there too that she kind of ended up being friends with. I guess the girl had a boyfriend, and she didn't want to go to the party with us because she wanted to be with her boo, and that probably sparked something in Candy to be like, oh well, I want to go link up with something too. So the whole time we were at the party, she was just like not trying to enjoy it at all. And I'm like, we literally drove 5 hours down here. Like, it was irritating me, and I was just like, you know what, let's go ahead and leave. But we literally drove 5 hours down there, paid money, gas, and $15 to get into this club. I just thought to myself, I should have came down here by myself in the first place, because this girl is like, I don't know, it's like you're always chasing after a man. It was always something with the guy with her. And when it comes to me, I'll get in my relationships, but when it comes to making plans and hanging out with my friends, I'm gonna be there. I don't care what relationship I'm in. When it came down to me even being in the toxic relationship with the guy that I was with, he used to get mad whenever I went out with my friends or whatever, but I didn't care. I'm not about to stop what I'm doing with my friends for a guy. Like, how is you cool? I didn't say all of that in the messages. I was basically just like, with her, she just said a lot of things that were kind of like slick or passively hostile, and I've mentioned something to her about it in college. Like, it wasn't the first time I've said anything about it. I ended up telling Tony he wants us to show up to every event, every single thing that he has, and I think my intuition tells me that even as far as our friendship, he likes to show us off as his trophy friends. Like, these have been my friends for, you know, years. These are my main girls, you know. He wants us to be there to every event and everything that he has. When it came to us, he wasn't there for like our congratulation moments. For Candy's 21st birthday, he literally didn't show up because he had to babysit. He said he booked it a month in advance. Candy told us about her 21st birthday plans at least a month in advance, and he said that he couldn't show up. She told me that he said he was gonna get her a birthday gift to make up for it and do something with her for her birthday, but he never did. I don't remember a birthday that he did make it to for my birthday. Probably like my 16th birthday. Maybe there was another one. I can't really think right now. But we ended up going to his Kappa crossing. He ended up crossing to Kappa. We're always there for him. But when it comes to us, you don't make an effort to be there. When it's us, we have to stop what we're doing, or, you know, rearrange plans and stuff just to make it there for you, but you can't make it to the things that we have going on. And I shed light on that moment that Candy had her 21st birthday, and I think where I went wrong is I shouldn't have even like told her story. She told me that in confidence, and honestly I think a part of me feels like we're a friend group. We should all be able to talk to each other and tell each other how we feel. I don't think we should hide from each other. If we're a friend group, we should be able to talk to each other, not talk behind each other's back. So with me and Candy texting on how we were feeling towards Tony and April, I just felt like I wanted to get it off my chest instead of like us being behind their back, oh, we're just gonna fall off. I was like, no, I can't do that. I need to talk to my friends and see what's going on before I decide to fall back. And I let them know that that was an option. I need to see what's going on before I move on with my life and just, you know, say forget all of y'all. With April, my thing with her was that she doesn't get emotional or vulnerable with us. Like, it's like a lot of times she just pushes off a lot of things. When I'm looking at her stories and she's with her other friends in college, it's like they're the best of friends. On the outside looking in, it's like she's more comfortable with them. But when it comes to our friend group, she's just like sarcastic, you know, whatever, I don't care. She couldn't even tell us that she loved us. It just like the friend group just didn't feel like I didn't have that closeness with them anymore, and so it was like we were kind of falling apart. I wanted to check in and see if there was anything that was going on, if there was any reason why these things were happening. And then I also wrote in the message that I know I'm not the best of friend. I know I could do better, so let me know what I can do better so that we can move forward as a friend group if that's an option. One of the things that I feel like I could have done better as a friend with Candy, I remember there was this one time where we were on the phone and I think she was trying to vent to me about the dude that she was talking to or whatever, and I was telling her like he's around, like the dude that I was with, I was like he's around. So, and she was like, you know, she didn't care or whatever, so she started telling me the story, and I think my ex had jumped in and he was just like, he had made like a smart remark to her and it was very offensive, and I didn't speak up. He literally said that and she was like, okay Kyla, I'm gonna talk to you later. I wish I would have said something then, because as a friend I would like, I should have spoke up for her. I didn't say anything to him. I think I said something after the fact. I should have spoke up for my friend during that moment. And if I'm being 100% honest, I think a part of me didn't speak up because I felt like she's always having these smart remarks towards me or saying like little slick things towards me. So I'm like, he just said something slick towards you, like this is something you probably would have said to me, or not even something you probably would have said to me, but you probably would have said something like this to me in a passively, you know, slick way. As her friend, I definitely should have spoke up for her.
Watching this back, I'm starting to realize that we put ourselves in cycles. Like this friend group, it wasn't just them. I was a part of the problem as well, and I'm going to take accountability in that. I'm going to face the humility. It was a cycle, it was a circle, and when it comes to these situations, you have like two options. You either speak up and you get an understanding, and if you cannot come to a conclusion, you have to remove yourself and you have to face yourself and face what you're going through, and you have to move forward to stop the cycle. You have to move forward, reach for better, and do better.
So, you know, we had that whole conversation or whatever, and honestly throughout the conversation it really didn't feel like anything was just being solved. It felt like when I came to them, it was just like a whole bunch of excuses for why things were done. Even as far as the Candy birthday situation, Tony's response was, Candy never told me she felt that way about me not showing up for her birthday. If I'm witnessing you doing this to another friend in our group and I'm like calling you out, I'm calling you out on it as a friend group. We're having a group session and I'm calling you out on it because this is what you did and I'm noticing this pattern on what you do. But then also, even when I did express that, she was basically just like AWOL. Like, she didn't say anything. Me and her were texting before I even brought this to the group's attention. Me and her were having a conversation about how they were acting and how we were gonna fall back, but she didn't say anything. She was just acting like, you know, innocent bystander. And I think then I kind of started realizing that she has like this two-faced thing about her. A little bit later we ended up meeting in person to have a group discussion, and I remember even in this moment, like, she was literally talking about how she ended up talking to this guy from high school. Tony had been bullied by this guy. She wanted to talk to him previously, but she didn't want to talk to him because he had done these things to Tony. When we were having our group discussion or whatever, she just wanted to confess that she was talking to this guy. She was basically saying that the guy that she was talking to, he was so sorry for what he had done and he's not the same person from high school or whatever, and she was just making it sound like a big deal, like he was so sorry for what he done. And then she ended up going through the messages and showing us what he actually said. All he said was, I'm not the same guy from high school. Tony's whole thing was, you know, he literally seen the dude in a barbershop, and if he had felt so sorry about what he did, you know, he probably would have said something to him then, or, you know, it's just like she was trying to make it sound better than what it was. And then afterwards she just had like this stupid look on her face because it didn't sound as good as she was trying to make it sound. And then y'all, a little bit later, me, Tony and Candy ended up hanging out together. Tony had came to me and he was just like, you know, I wanted to know like why you felt like you might need to take a break from the group. Candy literally didn't have to say nothing. You could have just been the bystander. You could have played the sidelines like you were doing. You could have played being fake like you were doing. But she literally was like, yeah, Kyla, what made you feel like you wanted to fall back? When we were literally on the phone texting, I have messages, we were literally texting about how we might need to fall back, and you trying to play this, you know, bystander role, and it's making it look like I'm the one trying to confront everything. It's making it seem like I'm being the problem starter, trying to start problems within the group, because whenever I address the whole situation, you just stand back and act like, you know, I'm attacking everybody. And I think she felt like she could do this because instead of jumping in the group and going straight on Tony and April, I was like, I'm gonna lay my issues down with everybody. That made her feel like she had a pass to just act like we weren't on the phone talking about the situation. I don't know, that's just so fake to me. Over time within that friendship, I just picked up a lot of things that I realized I didn't want in a friendship. And I think this was a moment for me where I realized that I tend to shut up and not say a lot of things for the sake of not making things uncomfortable and not having, you know, these hard conversations. I realized that I do express myself. People just choose not to hear me. I'm looking in the wrong places. I'm looking in the wrong friend groups. I'm looking in the wrong places for validation. Even with me being in relationships and with guys, it's like I'm looking in the wrong places for these things. Some people just don't get it. Some crowds just don't get it. Some people just don't understand, and they're not willing to understand. I realized like I'm in a place in my life where I want to make connections with people who are willing to understand. I want to make more meaningful and genuine connections with people. I don't want it to be like this whole fake thing where we're talking behind each other's backs. I just think it was a really big test to, one, speak up for myself, and then also stand on business. Last year was a year for me to just reflect on who I was and just who I wanted to be. 2024 was a really hard year for me, but through all of that, I learned truly who God was and how he was moving in my life. So in this moment, this last moment, and it's so convenient that it happened like right before the new year, I told them, you know what, I don't want to be around y'all. I'm gonna just take some time for myself and focus on myself for the rest of this year and get myself prepared for 2025, because I'm not about to deal with like this negative energy. I don't want to deal with the fake energy, the fake friends. April and Tony I had been friends with for the longest, so I realized even as far as starting my YouTube channel, those were the two that used to always laugh and make jokes about it, and I would laugh and joke along with them because I wanted to fit in and I didn't want to be emotional or whatever about it. But it really hurt my feelings that they were laughing and stuff about it. And I literally have a video when I was in high school. I was doing like a dressing up for a week with like different outfits. I went back and watched the video and you can see like the fakeness and them just laughing at me, like literally laughing in my face, and I'm just laughing right along with them because, you know, I was a people pleaser. I did a lot of journaling in 2024 too. Those last moments of the year just made me realize a lot of things about my life and just how God has been working in my life in general. It made me realize why I was going through the things that I was going through and why I was attracting the experiences that I was attracting. I came into this year feeling so good about this year, truly so good about the things that are going to be planned for this year. I've been able to hear God's voice more, and I've just been getting so much closer to him. Even as far as religion, I ended up coming to terms with the fact that Christianity isn't the only way that you can reach God. And I remember like throughout my childhood, I used to feel so bad because I wasn't doing what the Bible was telling me to do. This past last year leading up to now, I've just been able to build my own relationship with him. From me being alone and focusing on myself and being by myself, I've been able to hear him so much more clearly now. The Bible isn't the only way you get to know God. Sometimes I feel like that's like a bad thing to say, especially growing up a Christian. There's so much shame around so many things, when literally growing up in the church, I'm not gonna lie, looking up to these people, like I just could not see how God was working in their life, especially looking up to the people that I was looking up to. I couldn't see God working in their lives. And there's like this whole thing with toxic Christianity, people just shaming you for the littlest things when their lives aren't of God. Follow what God puts on your spirit to do. I think that is truly what following God is like. Even if you look throughout the Bible, every story is its own story, and they were all following God through their own struggles and the things that they were dealing with. Every story is different, and the same way God speaks to someone else could be a totally different way that God speaks to you. Me being alone has just allowed me to face myself, and I really want to encourage you guys to face the things that you've been through, that you've done. I think that's the only way to really start reaching your potential in life and reaching the things that you want to accomplish in life. You have to face the shame that you have over yourself, the shame of not doing the things that you think you're supposed to be doing in life, the shame of letting people have power over you, the shame of not using your voice. And this year I just want to focus on being so authentic within myself, sharing my truth, and just creating a safe space for other people to express themselves authentically, being themselves. Even if you get on here and you're the cringiest person, you feel like you're the cringiest person ever, be you to the fullest, and don't let anyone hold you from speaking your truth and speaking your voice. Walk in your purpose with your head held up high and be authentically you. Don't let anyone or anything stop you from creating the life that you want to live. Just do what makes you happy and hang around the people that are willing and open to getting to know who you are. Don't change who you are to fit into someone else's life, because why the hell would you want to be a background character in your own movie? Your inner child is where you hold so much of your authenticity, because when you're young, you just do what you want to do, you say whatever, and hold on to that inner child in you and don't let it go. Your inner child is what is going to guide you to your truth. And yeah, that's my story.